Now, when you talk about great trash cinema auteurs, the recently deceased Herschell Gordon Lewis is pretty much the godfather of the American exploitation movie. Really, what more can you say? I mean, he's made some of the most influential and, as far as I'm concerned, entertaining bad movies ever made. You know, he started off with Blood Feast and 2000 Maniacs, which is one of the best 1-2 directorial combos ever in the history of, B-movie. But the thing is his career chugged along. Something very interesting happened. It's where his technical ability to make movies got a whole lot better in terms of, actually setting up scenes and the lighting and cinematography, the editing, all that drastically improved. But for whatever reason, the overall quality of his movies also began to dip. And we did have kind of a slight rebound then with Gore Girls and Wizard of Gore. So it's one of those things where he has a bookend, right? Where his first two movies were really, really good in the horror genre, and his last two were fantastic. But everything in the middle, though, a little contentious. Alright, so it's 31 Days of Horror-Ween 2017. Today we're taking a look at, what day is it? I don't even know. Day 12. Okay, yeah, day 12. And we're taking a look at Color Me Blood Red from 1965. Herschell Gordon Lewis's reverse magnum opus, which is actually a really, really flagrant ripoff of A Bucket of Blood by Roger Corman. And it's nowhere near as good. I mean, A Bucket of Blood is actually a really, really good movie. That's one of the top, 85% of exploitation movies ever made. This one is just too weird. I mean, it's I don't even know how to describe it, because it's a half gore movie, but it's also half a beach movie, all those Annette Funicello movies. And it doesn't gel at all. I mean, it feels like two different movies that are cobbled together with super glue. But yeah, a couple of good things for getting the bad. Good is the introduction, the exposition, setting up the story, with having, the painter, who, can't sell anything, and he's really mad at postmodernism, and how he discovers painting with blood is a boon to his creative passions. That part's pretty good. And it has surprisingly good acting and dialogue for a Herschell Gordon Lewis movie from the 1960s. So, the first 20 minutes is pretty good, and he even got some really, gross scenes, even were hard for me to watch, where, he cuts his hands, and he's, rubbing his bloody palms all over the painting. Oh, that's one of those things that just freaks me out. So, I mean, you got some good stuff going on. You think you're on the verge of a classic, but it's a movie, it's an hour and a half, which is actually pretty long for a Herschell Gordon Lewis movie. And after that, once he actually starts killing people and, actually painting with their blood, by then, it just becomes a bore. And the thing is, they try to actually make the killer, multi-dimensional. Where it's yeah, he is killing people, and painting with their blood, but he's also, hanging out. He's trying to impress his girl, and they're going on day trips and having picnics. And, they're playing rock and roll music and driving around, and it just doesn't gel. I mean, it's like eating a peanut butter and Cheetos sandwich. I mean, they might be great independent of one another, but combining them together just doesn't work at all. So, yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about it. It's got a good ending, but, well, it doesn't actually have a good ending. It has a pretty crappy ending. It has a good beginning. The middle part I start to tune out, and by the time we get to the ending, you're just completely phased out. So, certainly not one of Herschell's better movies. He's made some really, really good exploitation movies, but this one is not one of them. In fact, it's probably one of his worst horror movies, now that I think about it. So, with all that in mind, using our patented tofu dog rating system, I'm going to give this one a very, very mediocre 2 tofu dogs out of 4. And we'll move along. Tomorrow we'll be taking a look at, well, hold on. We're not really doing it tomorrow. I'm actually recording this a couple of days. I'm going to be out of town. But by the time you get to day 13, we're going to be at the very tail end of the 1960s. We're going to be taking a look at a film that is pretty much beyond description. Even now, I'm having a hard time to describe it to people. But just say this. It's one of the most controversial Japanese movies ever made that was for decades and decades actually banned in its native land. So if it was banned for decades, it's got to be, well, maybe not good, but at least worth checking out. So stick around for that. 31 Days of Horror-Ween continues. And as always, if you can't do anything else in life, at least stay spooky.